Hola, hello. Welcome to this masterclass today. I am Claudia Trani Melgar. I'm very happy to be here with you today. We are just a few minutes away from starting this great presentation today. So, welcome if you join us just now. Um, Good morning if you are in the morning. Good afternoon if you are joining us from an afternoon part of the world. And good night if you are joining us at nighttime. So very happy to be here. And we have an exciting information to share with you. We have an expert in human resources coming up to join us very soon. So I am Claudia Trani, originally from Bolivia, part of the GSL, and I will do a presentation, a moderator for the presenters today. So thank you for being here with us. We're just going to start just on time with the recording and everything, and be happy that we all are ready to learn something new. So just a little bit of technical information. We will be using a presenter view, as you can see in this slide, and you will be able to join us and throughout the conversation through the chat. So on your screen, you probably will be seeing a chat area where you can send us a message. You can put your questions. You can put your comments, and you will be able to be back up for with us. So as I said at the beginning, we're going to start with this presentation right away. I'm very happy to be here today. Let me tell you a little bit about where I am joining you on this conversation today from. I am in South Jersey, in the United States. Today here, it's a really fall afternoon. It's a little bit cold, but it's exciting because it's the most beautiful season during this year, because we see all the foliage, all the leaves, all the changes in the colors and everything. So it's an exciting time. We're getting ready to start this presentation. We will be joining many of you from different parts of the world. So welcome. I see somebody from Uganda, and I see somebody from Alaska. And I am originally from Bolivia, by the way, from South America, and is a great, beautiful country. We are in the heart of South America, and in the area where I grew up, it's usually a little bit hot and humid. So moving to the States, it's been a great transition, and enjoying 6 months out of the year during the winter. It's kind of a good experience. So it took a little bit of while to get used to, but very happy to be here. Well, officially, we are at the start of this great masterclass today. Welcome, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. My name is Claudia Trani Melgar, and I am the moderator today for this presentation. So very happy that you join us today. So somebody from Dublin, very nice. Hello, hello. So as I am getting ready to present, let me just tell you a little bit more about who is making this presentation. I'm originally a journalist and communications professional. I am very active as the board of directors of the Bolivian Foundation as the vice president. I have a master in globalization, development communications. I am a member of More Latin America and a member of GSL Network. I think I'm going to have to switch some headsets. You never expect that something will be changing, but my headsets, they are wireless. It's telling me that my batteries are low. So I will be switching in a little bit. Today, we will have the master class with she is an expert around the world, an international experience and career working with many companies around the world. We will be hearing some tips from her about how to achieve a successful career. And things that we're going to learn today, we're going to learn about how to manage your career without a manager in place, how to be a good leader even if you don't manage people, how to build your model around work-life integration. So we have a lot of things that we're going to be learning today and very important things that we're going to be learning today. So as I was saying, this is possible through the collaboration and the creation of first the Global Student Leadership Program. I am an alumni of that program. Around the world are part of this great organization. So GSL Network is a great organization where you can learn and try to collaborate with professionals from around the world. They have different programs. I'm going to share with you today a little bit of the website that we have, and you can what do we do and what our mission and what are our goals, but mostly to support women and empower women and collaborate with women to be the voice in these times and to have that leadership and presence around the world and working with other professionals. So we also work and we thank More Latin America to this specifically for this masterclass and platform. So More Latin America, thank you for letting us use this time and this platform. More Latin America is a nonprofit organization. It's a partner with a GSL network, and it was found by two alumni of the GSL network. So very thankful that they let us be here today. And finally, what we want you to do during this time, we want you what you learn here. So if you learn something new, if you got some tips, don't keep it to yourself, share it with others and pass that information. That is the way the GSL network, they wanted to network, and we believe in networking with other professional women around the world is the goal to the success to a great community of supporting and empowering women around the world. So we are presenter today. She is Anne, and Anne is an expert. She has an MBA in Human Resources with Industrial Relations. She's a managing director for more than 20 years with great experience in human resources and 14 years of working with IBM and 4 years working with Rio Tinto. She has coached, mentored, and guided and helped over 100 women through managing teams with 18 years managing different kind of global teams, and she is an expert in her area. I can attest to that. I have worked with her. I have been mentored by her, and I'm very, very thankful and very honored that she's with us today here. So we welcome you, Anne. Now the room is yours. You can open your camera and open your microphone, and we invite you to be.
Thank you. It seems like I can't switch on the video, but everyone can hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you right. We can hear you. Let me just turn off my camera. Maybe that helps you.
Yeah.
And then you can turn.
It says as soon as connection video be reactivated. It's not working quite now, but the audio works, right? Can you hear okay, Claudia? Here. Can everybody hear me? I'm assuming. Do I say silence? I'm going to send something. Good. Yes, audio works. That's good. Thank you. it'd be hopeful, not so good if I was doing all of this and realized no one can hear me. And sound is better than picture, but both is also good. So we're going to talk about, how to achieve a successful career. And we're going to look at 3 elements. And one of them is around, how to be a good manager and manage your career, whether you have or don't have a manager in place. We're also going to look at how to be a good leader, even if you do not manage people. And believe me, it's possible. And the third one we're going to look at is tips on how to build your own work-life integration model, work-life balance, and it can change different times in your life. You'll have different needs. And this is foolproof. And you'll find that many of these areas are connected and integrated, which means that if you do one, it fits more than one purpose. So off we go. It's perfect timing because we're close to year end, and it also means that comes January, you could start rolling out some of these initiatives yourselves. So when you think about this, and I'll talk you through, think about what can I start next week? What can I start next month? What can I start in January? Because you don't have to wait for any of this for anything else to happen around you. So to manage your career with or without a manager in place, it's absolutely critical to understand the strategic objectives and how you fit in. You may come in and do an admin role. However, if you don't understand what's the strategy of this place, what's the mission, vision, the values, then it's very hard for you. You're not going to be able to develop that compass, which means you're always innovating the right things, coming up with the right ideas, because whatever you're doing, you're likely to be voted in if you are doing things which is in line with the strategy, and you're also able to see that, how it plugs in. It can be hard, and if it's hard, then speak to others and say, how do we fit into the big picture? Because it seems kind of a little bit isolated. And if you think about things like revenues and money, it's a good starting point, and then add the other areas. Sometimes you'll have a manager that sets up regular one-to-ones with you, and some managers will do it every couple of weeks, and some will do it once a month. But even if you don't have a manager, or a manager who doesn't do it today, you can easily say, I'd love to connect on a regular basis. Are we all right to connect? And I'd say with a manager, it should be monthly at the minimum, but also try to feed in and see who are the stakeholders, who are like your customers or sponsors or people who have that impact, because they're also important to understand. You may think you're doing a good job and doing very well, but without their input and feedback, it's hard to validate and it becomes a little isolated. I'd say quarterly check-ins, and that's for stakeholders and also managers. That's a minimum. And even if you have a manager who doesn't have the time, or somebody who's not managing you at all, make sure at least you have a quarterly check-in with somebody saying, how is it traveling? What are the priorities? And make sure you can ask your questions and demonstrate how you're delivering. Always map who your decision makers are and make sure you're visible to them. Many people don't think about it. They come into their teams, work in their teams, and all they see is their immediate workplace. But if you think about if you were to be promoted, salary increase, or get the next project, a learning event, who would sign it off? And sometimes, yes, it's the team leader, and sometimes it's management, but it could also be someone from human resources, or it could also be the executive sponsoring something. So try to think about who are the decision makers for your career, wherever you are working. Also, be clear. I often find that people don't articulate what they want to do, and unfortunately, too many people, they just wait for opportunities to come their way. But believe me, there's so many people there who are vocal and are tapping on shoulders. So just being quiet doesn't, it's better to have the voice and be visible and rather than wait for the opportunity. It can be so competitive out there, and that's why that's so important. With this, of course, there's an element of flexibility and also make sure that you develop your, strong network. Think about your ecosystem. How many profiles are you connected to on LinkedIn today? And what does that system, what should that network look like? And that's whether it's part of something you're passionate about or something that's kind of work related, something that's a part of both. Make sure, develop that ecosystem. That's your network. And if you're going through someone you need to validate something with, or something you need to test, or you're thinking of an idea, that's the ecosystem you can test it with. So they're ideal. But be deliberate. And when I say a strong network, it means that you nurture them. You don't only reach out when you need them. You also reach out when you don't need them, to say thank you, or say, do you want anything from me? Or would you like a quarterly check-in? Just a quick update. And with LinkedIn and other forums, that's a lot easier. Also demonstrate at all times that you're delivering, and make sure that you're demonstrating that to stakeholders. Again, who has decisions in the room. And sometimes you find that maybe your manager takes your work, or your team leader, and that's not good for you. So you need to, if you develop like a scorecard or a report, and you could see like just a simple spreadsheet to the left there, showing an example. It could be as simple as, what am I working on? What are my challenges? And deliver against that to demonstrate what you're doing, what you delivered, and business impact, which aligns then with the strategic priorities. And always demonstrate that you work well with your peers, because sometimes our peers, they are a competition. And it's sometimes easier to be lovely to your manager, because you kind of know that they're very important. And so, of course, it's important to be nice to people who report into you when and if you're a manager. But sometimes we forget the peers. We just compete and we're ruthless because we don't like the competition. But it's all about delivering the output together. And that's what's so important. And when you get to a higher level, it's always about how do you deliver together with your peers to stakeholders, not just having that management input. And that's why we call it 360 feedback. And 360 feedback is often taken when people go and get promotions and things or annual appraisals. That's what's taken to make sure the person is good and healthy for the organization, not just in that immediate team. So always welcome feedback. And sometimes we hate getting feedback, and because it hurts. And sometimes we just want to have one day afterwards, or 2, 3, where we just want to curl up in bed and say, that really was painful. But then we got to be resilient, and we're going to apply the learnings, and then we got to try again. And it can be horrible, but it's also so rewarding when we go back and ask for feedback, and maybe we didn't address it 100%, but, they can see we're trying, and after a few cycles, we are getting better at changing how we're doing something, and also we're getting better at getting the feedback. People who get a lot of experience in their careers, they sometimes become feedback addicts. They're not interested in they're only interested in how to sharpen their pencils and tweak and spend a lot of time reflecting. Always apply a growth mindset and be flexible. And think about what you can learn. And if somebody says to you, oh yeah, there's this little gig over here, we want you to do it. Think about, okay, what can I learn? Be open if you can or can't do it, but also, apply that growth mindset. This is what I can learn. These are the skills I will develop. These are the people I'll be working with, and show an element of flexibility. Of course, there are times you can't be 100% flexible because it's not where you want your career to go. But if you had that deliberate thought through the whole, then it's much better to be flexible when you should, and not all the time. And be able to think long term. Sometimes an opportunity, it's not just that gig, it's what comes next. because the businesses and organizations, they're always going to want you to sort out the problem, but then think what comes after that. If you learn something else, yes, that's fine. And then have an agreement about what does that mean next step? What does that mean longer term? The sooner you can articulate and think longer term, it doesn't get confusing because you can see you're on the right path. And it doesn't matter if you do A or B as long as you do one of them. And that's why it's important to think about the different scenarios in your career. And last but not least, you are the owner of your own career. And don't think that, good luck and assumptions and sponsors is going to save you. It can help, but you can also see a change out of a CEO, of the your manager, team leads, they can all leave and go somewhere else. And then you're starting without the sponsors. So don't rely on sponsors, rely on yourself. And sometimes it's hard to ask questions and drive it and have those conversations. And that's when you got to practice and role play at home and think about it and be deliberate and own it. And that's yours. And in 10 years time, you look back and you'll say, hey, how did I do on this one? The next area we're going to look at, and there'll be some kind of repetitions, is what I said is quite good because it's integrated with the other areas. How to be a good leader, even if you don't manage people. And again, it's about organization and priorities. If you understand the strategy, it doesn't matter if you have people reporting to you. If you can tell your peers and others, you can say, look, guys, this is the strategy, and articulate it in a way that a 5-year-old will understand, because a lot of people, they don't understand it. And to be that translator is very, very powerful. And it's a lot to do with leadership, simplifying things and making it easy to understand, and with the communication, demonstrate that communication is part of being a good leader. And demonstrate, leadership behaviors, even if you don't have a management role. And think about what is leadership in terms of delivering a project, leadership of people. You don't have to have the title to be able to demonstrate leadership behavior. The only thing that's going to happen is you may be identified as a tagged future leader or get team lead roles, or, start growing as a leader if you're a first line leader. It's always important to think about it. And then demonstrate strong communication. Think global communication. I always say keep it simple. I don't want anyone to attend the presentation and somebody has to go and Google your words because you used wrong words to articulate something very nice in English. And strong communication. And when we meet face to face, that also means like the body language and face to face interactions, not to just, the Zooms and the Teams and those kind of meetings. And make sure also in communication, in emails, if you close something out, make sure you send an email, I'm closed up this action, we're successful, we're traveling good. That again is leadership. And drive delivery of both tasks, projects, and report again your successor to stakeholders and managers, like that little template that I showed previously, which was just the spreadsheets showing this is what we're doing and this is what we're delivering, to make it visible. And people love to work with people who demonstrate leadership, because it makes everybody's life a lot easier and it takes a lot of the mystery out. And always be part of and demonstrate diversity and inclusion in everything you do. And it can be hard because we all have blind spots and we all kind of know who we like to hang with. And my best advice is sit down and think, okay, do I have too many women same profile, or too many men the same? And look at sort of different ages and get the global view and different genders and different representatives as much as possible. And the more you do that, the more innovation and better for the business. It's proven. The business model is proven that the teams that are driving innovation are the ones with diversity and inclusion in everything they do. But also another benefit, it helps you really to challenge yourself, because, if you sit in a room with 5 people who are alike yourself, then you're not going to challenge each other. But if you bring in diversity and inclusion into the discussion, you'll realize that it's not as simple as you thought if you sat with people that were replicas of yourself. Be conscious as well. We all have blind spots. We all are not aware of them. And blind spots means that, we have, we are who we are, DNA, cultures and nationalities, and because of our experience and who we are, we think we know it all, but it's according to our own experiences. And everybody has blind spots, and just be conscious that you have them and be open. And sometimes if you're stuck and thinking, there's obstacle, think maybe this is a blind spot, and try to partner with somebody very, very different again to understand what your blind spots may be. And that's often a blocker. Apply a growth mindset. And when you apply the growth mindset, it's very much about that nobody's perfect. And we all want to grow. We all want to learn. And sometimes the feedback, which we always welcome, can be hard. But perfectionists, no one is perfect. So perfectionists are kind of the worst enemy of this. So always welcome the feedback, apply your growth mindset, and think about you nurturing yourself. And over the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years, it's going to be a long journey, but it's going to be fun and it's going to be rewarding. And that's always important to be a good leader. And going hand in hand with applying the growth mindset, reflect and learn at all times. And sometimes that's a personal thing. Where do you reflect and where do you learn? I often reflect and learn when I'm high up in the air flying, or when I'm in Manhattan, because it's so chaotic. And that's actually a place where I think and see things clearly. And I find these places, and of course there's more than just being in there, but I have found these places and I build in the time to think, what am I doing? How am I doing? We're not too hard on ourselves, but in the spirit of learning, what am I taking with me to the next chapter? What is going to be that evolution of leadership? What am I parking for now? And never stop doing what you're good at. Playing on the strengths is always a winner. Never ever stop doing what you're good at, but always learn and be open again, reflecting. It can be painful. We all know. Be a good listener and respect confidentiality. And this point is very much, the confidentiality, people will not come to you if they don't trust you. Got to build trust. And being a listener, it's difficult because sometimes we want to tell people what we think the answer is. And sometimes just giving that extra pause for people to finish or ask an open question, which is a little bit coaching style, to make sure that you are listening. Also make sure you can say, for example, you could say, did I capture this right? Or to build on what you're saying. And that demonstrates active listening. In terms of the confidentiality, confidentiality goes at all levels. Sometimes the business may say something to you and they say in strictest confidence, even though you haven't signed a non-disclosure agreement. That's important. And you're then respected from the business. People who talk to you as peers, they may say something in confidence. Again, you got to keep that to yourself. It's in confidence. You can encourage them to open up and talk about it to someone else. And also, if you have people reporting in or people who are more junior in the network, make sure that if you promise them that it's going to be in confidence, you've got to respect confidentiality and cut out the gossip. Cut it out. Stay job focused, stay delivery focused. And people who do the office gossip, they don't really become trusted. And for some people, they get so hurt because someone has shown a breach, and they'll never trust again. So this is where leadership is important, because you don't get second chances from these things from people that we're dealing with day in and day out. And you and I, we wouldn't like it either if somebody did something. We said something to someone, and then the next day it's posted somewhere or someone talks about it, because they're not thinking, or they're thinking of themselves. And pull people in if they're not respecting confidentiality. Say, look, I think this is a conversation that should be in confidence. Not sure where you got this from. This should be in confidence, or I'm not happy to have this conversation because I think this is a confidential nature. You get so much respect if you play by those rules. Also demonstrate strong values and be authentic. There's this whole breed about authentic leadership. And it's about being, have strong values, build the trust, and have that self-awareness, strong ethics, openness, and genuine and the honesty piece. And authentic leadership is important. Some people will come in and do jobs, do them very, very well, but they're not happy because they're not being authentic. And to find that balance and that equilibrium, as the economist would say, of your authenticity, be yourself, but that genuine yourself, rather than playing a role. Careers and leadership, you're not playing a role. It's about being yourself in the right way with the right values. And that's super important. Also, build and support other leaders around you. And don't think traditional hierarchy. Think about who is potentially reporting in, who is reporting, on the sideways as the peers. I always come into teams and I like to think, oh yeah, who am I going to report into in 10 years' time? I don't want their job in 10 years' time. I don't want that job in 10 years' time. But I like to be part of someone who facilitated and helped someone in a career and support them for future leadership roles. And the traditional hierarchy is very redundant. It doesn't really apply anymore, as organizations are getting a lot flatter. And the other trap with that traditional hierarchy is that you are probably disregarding the next CEO, because that may happen in 10, 15 years' time. And some people are progressing quickly. So always support other leaders around you. And think about who is that talent, the future talent. And also, the last point is around think long term. There's always changes happening. There's always, we got to be asked to be resilient. We're asked to do things faster and tighter deadlines and do more than we did before. Think long term. And the only thing which is constant is going to be the change. And to take a little kind of view long term rather than the short term view means you're a good leader and demonstrate leadership abilities, because you can articulate to people how whatever you're doing is fitting in with a long-term mission. And that's important. In the next section, we're gonna go in and we're gonna talk about this famous term, work-life integration. And some people call it work-life balance, work-life integration. We've talked about it for so long, and it means different things to different people. But I'm going to show you how to build your own model around it. So it's a total shift of mindset Don't think about the hours you work, stay in the office till 6 o'clock or stay along the boss is staying. Think about the output you deliver. By when are you going to deliver a certain number of, tasks and outputs on the project? And it's hard to move away from the hours worked, but everyone knows that long hours and long office hours is not sustainable, and it can become toxic, and it's competitive, and it's really bad for climate and yourself because you're not necessarily productive. And depending different stages in your life, you're going to have different boundaries, and you're going to have to sit down and think for yourself. And I tend to do this once a year, but I used to do it every quarter. And think about, what do I need right now? And kind of document them for yourself if that helps, or just take a photo in your head if that's the right way, or paint a picture, whatever you need. Just think about, what are my boundaries? And it could be a childcare pickup. It could be looking after your elderly parents. It could be a partner or somebody you're living with who's having an operation and needing some support. And this changing all the time. But as soon as we are aware of them, we need to call them out. And then make sure you communicate those with managers and stakeholders, whatever they are. I used to do this with my boss many years ago, and I used to say, for the next quarter, I can travel 30%. I have this flexibility in terms of travel, or my father had dementia, so I said I need to go to Sweden and be there for the next quarter and work out of Sweden. And it's only when you can actually talk about it and define the boundaries, everybody makes it work, because you're good at what you're doing. And if you don't communicate them, no one will know. And then you're struggling, and it's not sustainable, and you're not going to be happy. And it's hard because in some cultures we don't talk about those things because, and particularly maybe women and people who also looking after elderly parents don't talk about it because they're kind of worried that it's going to be used against them. But if you're somewhere for long term and say, we got to talk about this work-life balance, this integration, and for the next quarter, this is what's going on in my life, and speak to your managers or leaders or teammates, and people will welcome it. I have not met one person who has said, look, this isn't going to work, because you do your hours, you do your jobs, and it's just about fitting it all in. And the last point on this is, it's not about, family commitments. It's about private activities. If you're part of a global network, or if you are on the board of directors somewhere, or if you are things that make you tick, you do yoga classes or do things that are important to you, you deliver the output anyway, and you do the hours anyway. But by carving out the boundaries and respecting them yourself, don't break your own rules. That's not sustainable either. And that's important. Be proactive when you are communicating your needs. Don't wait for any managers, and I've never seen that either. Managers don't tend to say, hey, who's got childcare to pick up, and who's got drop-offs, and who's got Pilates classes. You need to articulate those proactively. But just say, look, I've got this conference, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to do my hours this way, and I'm going to deliver this output this way. I have never ever seen anyone be challenged on that. And you have to, of course, stay output focused, and you got to make sure that you are able to deliver what you promised. And this is, of course, why many of us are sometimes a little worried, because we're thinking, I don't want anyone to use this against me. But it does work. You've got to build your own confidence in your own ecosystem. Say what's negotiable, non-negotiable, and make sure you deliver. but manage to fit in what you need to fit in from your point of view. And this model is flexible. Nobody's going to say you said, or if you're proactive and your priorities change, you just need to call out to people that, oh, this has happened and now I can do this for a while or next quarter. Or you can, do it on an annual basis if you have more stability, or quarterly basis, whatever. But again, you own this one and you have to be proactive. You have to deliver. And that's why it works. And that's something I've used for the last 15 years or so. And every time I do it, it works. And it's the non-negotiables, I call it, providing you deliver. And also sometimes you're going to have, I call it slow lane, mid lane, and fast lane. You can say, hey, look, guys, because stuff going on in my life, I'm going to be in the slow lane for the next couple of months, but I'll call out when I'm ready to go in the mid lane. Or I say, look, guys, I'm so ready. I need a project. I need the next project. Just put me in the fast lane. That means you're kind of open for any opportunity. Travel is of course, that comes with it sometimes. And just that openness, it helps a lot. And I think this is what, we got to questions.